Hi, I'm David. Today's practice is created for beginners and it's got some modifications that will work well for expecting mothers as well. To practice, you'll need a yoga mat, a set of blocks, some bare feet, and some stretchy clothes. We'll be doing a breathing exercise, some standing poses in the middle to help you build some strength and flexibility, and then a brief guided meditation toward the end. So, when you're ready, sit up really tall. Let your hands rest in your lap with right hand on top of left and thumbs touching. If you're uncomfortable sitting with crossed legs, you can always straighten your legs as an alternative. For the next few moments, close your eyes and just redirect some focus to your breath. For the next few moments, observe your inhales and your exhales. Today, we're going to make your breath equal in either direction, equal on your exhale as well as your inhale. So to come together on the same page, breathe out every drop of air through your nose. Filling your lungs, breathe into 5, 4, 3, 2, fill them up to the top, and then exhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, squeeze out every drop of air. Inhale 5, 4, 3, 2, pull the breath all the way in. Exhale 5, 4, 3, 2, squeeze down with your belly. And then again, inhale 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Continue on your own. Counts of 5 are a little much. Do counts of 4 instead. And if you want to challenge yourself further, and you think counts of 6, 7, maybe even 8, 9, or 10 would feel good, feel free to do those. Deep breaths in. Deep breaths out. As you continue to count, make your breath equal on your inhale and your exhale. After a while, this will have a calming effect on your body and your mind. A few more rounds of those self-paced. The next time you exhale, breathe out all of your air. And finally, just return to normal inhales and normal exhales. And join your hands together in a prayer at your chest. Think of someone you would like to dedicate today's practice to. Send that person some good energy mentally. When you're ready, then open your eyes. So today we'll start from standing. Make sure your yoga blocks are placed up near the front of your mat, about match width wide, fully on the mat itself, so they're not likely to slip. And then when you're ready, come all the way up to a full standing posture. Now step forward so that your feet are just behind the blocks. Separate your feet so they're separated by roughly outer hips width. And then turn your heels out to the sides slightly until the inner edges of your feet look parallel like the sides of a river. Next, join your hands together in a prayer at your chest. Sweep your arms out to the sides and then upwards overhead. Now with your arms still lifted, begin shifting your buttocks back a little bit. Take your arms out to the sides in a T-like shape. And then continue shifting your hips back to hinge from your hips. Bend your knees if it helps. Keep your spine straight. And then take your fingers or your palms down to the blocks. The next time you inhale, lift all the way up to your fingertips to create a long, straight spine again. Lift your hips a little higher until the backs of your legs feel some stretch. And then to deepen that stretch, fold forward again and take your hands down toward the blocks. And upwards to your fingertips for a straight spine. Keep your back long, sweep your arms out to the sides and up. Reach your arms upward overhead, straighten your legs, and then join your hands together in a prayer at your chest. This time, coordinate with your breathing. Inhale, sweep your arms outwards and then upwards. Exhale, shift your buttocks back, arms out, bend your knees if it helps. Take your fingertips down to the blocks or your palms. Use an inhale to lift up to your fingertips, elongating your spine. Forward fold with your exhale. Hips lifted just enough to stretch the backs of your legs. And up to your fingers. Use an inhale to sweep your arms outwards and then upwards to the sky. Hands to your heart with your exhale. Again, use an inhale to sweep your arms up. Forward fold with an exhale, and keep your legs a little straighter if it works, otherwise knees bent is fine. Lift to your fingers on the inhale. Forward fold with your exhale. And next we're going to get the rest of your spine. The next time you inhale, sweep your arms out to the sides and up. Now still breathing deeply, keep your arms extended up. Reach up there and grab a hold of your right wrist with your left hand. Pull all the way up and tip your torso to the left-hand side of the room that you're in. If it's challenging for you to grab a wrist, that's okay. You can let your arms be separated. You can even modify by letting your left hand rest on the side of your leg if you wish. Deep, slow breaths. Try to keep your belly and your chest squared with the front of your mat. Now use an inhale to come all the way back up. If it's accessible for you, grab a hold of your left wrist and pull up, and then tip your torso to the right this time. If grabbing your wrist is just uncomfortable, let your hands be separated, or give yourself some extra support by letting your hand rest on the side of your leg. Let's keep reaching through your fingertips to deepen the side stretch. Slow breaths in and slow breaths out as you keep your belly and chest squared forward. Now use an inhale to come all the way back up. And then join your hands together in a prayer at your chest. Now with your feet still separated, hips distance, bend your knees, hinge from your hips and lean forward. Now twisting off to your left, hook your right elbow over your right inner thigh. And for the next few moments, just press your hands together and rotate your spinal column off to your side. And once you've hit the depth of your twists, just start breathing deeply. Huge inhales and huge exhales too. And the next time you breathe in, come up to the chair with legs bent, sweep your arms all the way up. Join your hands together in a prayer, and twist to the other side, and then cross your left elbow over your inner thigh. Doesn't really matter where you put it, just give yourself something to leverage against. As you press your hands together, softly rotate your torso open to the side. Slow breaths in and slow breaths out. And the next time you breathe in, sweep your arms all the way up for the chair. Straighten your legs to stand up tall. With your feet still placed hips distance wide, take your hands to your waist. Broaden your chest muscles by squeezing your elbows back and together. Lift the base of your ribs up and take a slow back bend. The next time you exhale, fold forward and bend your knees quite a lot this time, and take your hands all the way down to the blocks. This time, lift your chest just a little bit more for some spinal length. Step back to a push-up position. Drop your knees all the way down to the floor. With your hands still placed on the blocks, take some cat-cow kriyas. Round your back like a cat as you exhale. And then arch your spine in the other direction with your inhale. The back sways like the back of a cow. Exhale to round your spine. Roll your tail under and press down through your hands. Inhale, lift your tailbone and your chin. And continue on. The term kriya refers to a cleansing motion of some type. So as you arch like a cat and you sway your back like a cow, you cleanse lots of the tension that surround your spinal column out. few more rounds of that on your own. And then bring your spine back to a somewhat more neutral position. Slide your knees back just a slight bit further so your knees are behind your hips. As you do that, you should feel more weight in your hands. Now, from there, take any back bend out by scooping your ribs downward in the front. Roll the soft, bendy part of your elbows forward. And then squeeze your elbows in toward your ribs, lower just a little bit to build strength in your chest. With your knees still on the floor, press up to a gentle back bend. Then curl your toes under and back. Press out through your hands and lift to the downward facing dog. Hips way up in the air. And once you're there, bend your knees, press out through your hands and let your chest move closer to your thighs. And stretch your calf muscles with some pedaling. Alternate between bending one leg and straightening the other one. And as you pedal nice and slow like that with both feet parallel, rotate your chest to the right and rotate your chest to the left as well. A few more rounds of those. Now come back to the center. Press both heels closer to the floor. Work towards straighter legs. If your spine really starts to round a lot, bend your knees a little bit. Drive out through your hands and press your chest towards your legs like that. Then take a look forward. Rock your shoulders ahead toward your hands a bit. And then step your right foot up to the blocks. Turn your left heel down to the floor. And from that position there, come up to Warrior One posture. Torso squared forward, sweep your arms out to the sides and then upward overhead. Lock your eyes on some solid spot in the front of the room that you're in. Reach up through your fingertips and let your shoulder blades slide down away from your ears toward your belt. And try to soften your face and soften your jaw as you keep breathing. Back leg as straight as possible and your front leg bent. Now you want to keep your spine really long, so sweep your arms out like a sun salutation. Lean forward until you can plant your hands on the blocks. And then step back to the high push-up and take your knees to the ground. And tuck your ribs down and in so there's no back bend at all. Squeeze your elbows into your ribs, lower a little. And then drop your hips toward the earth gently. Press down through your straight arms and hands. Bend your back. And lift your hips up for the down dog again. And press out through your palms. Okay, second side. Rock your shoulders forward toward your wrists. That should make it a little easier to step your left foot forward this time. Turn your back heel down to the floor, and then sweep your arms outwards and upwards. And the back leg is really stable in this one, so straighten it by pressing down through your right heel. And bend your front leg until you feel some burning in your upper thigh. Lock your eyes on some solid point. If you're finding it hard to straighten your arms, take your arms wider apart than shoulders width, and really stretch up through your fingertips to straighten them as much as you can. If they won't straighten all the way, that's okay. Just get as close as possible. And lean forward over your legs with both arms taken to your sides. Plant your hands. Step back to the high push-up and take your knees down to the ground. Roll your tail under just a bit. Squeeze your elbows and lower. Press to the up dog with knees down. Lift your hips to the down dog stretch with your exhale. Now, if this one becomes too tiring, you can always revert to the cat-cow kriya. You can roll to a plank, you can drop your knees to the floor, and you can alternate between rounding your back and arching your spine. Otherwise, this time, just hold as you are to build some upper body strength. All right, then again, rock your shoulders forward towards your hands. If stepping your foot straight forward is tough, you can swing your right leg out and then into the center, and sometimes it makes it easier to get it to the blocks. You can even sort of crawl your foot forward if that helps. Turn your back heel to the floor, and for the posture Warrior Two, spin up and let your torso face the long edge of your mat. Now this time around, take your hands to your hips and try to level the top of your pelvis with the ceiling. Sort of drop one hip and lower the other one, and find the spot where the top feels leveled like a bucket. Next, bend your front leg until you get some burning in your thigh. And reach both arms all the way out to the sides, parallel to the floor in the room that you're in. And sort of experiment with arm positioning until it feels like they were floating in water. Stretch up to the top of your head and keep your back leg really, really long as the front leg bends. And then from that position there, turn your front hand up to face the ceiling. Side bend toward your rear leg for the reversed warrior. Reach that arm all the way over your center line to give yourself a good side body stretch again. A few more breaths in and out. Use an inhale to come all the way back to warrior two. Now this time, lean forward quite a lot. Rotate your torso down until you can put one hand on the blocks and then the other. Spin your back heel upward in the air. Step back, drop your knees to the floor. Remember, squeeze your elbows tight into your ribs and lower. Knees down, and press up to the up dog. Lift your hips up for the down dog. Now, sometimes when stepping your foot straight forward, the leg hits the belly or the chest before you can get all the way up. So if you're struggling with that problem, rock your shoulders forward toward your wrists. When you swing your left leg forward, swing it out and then in. All right, turn your back heel down to the floor and all the way back up to full warrior two position. Now sometimes the right hip lifts up and the left one drops down. Less frequently, the front hip will lift up too much. So just sort of experiment. Move your hips back and forth from right side to left and try to find the placement where the top of your pelvis feels a little more level. As you get that, you'll oftentimes feel a little more stretch in your right inner thigh. Now extending your arms out will strengthen your shoulders, so reach them all the way out to your sides. So let them sort of float and hover there like they were floating in water. Do your best to keep your front leg bent as you keep breathing. And then turn your front palm up to face the ceiling. Bend toward your bat leg. Make sure you place your hand on the edge of the leg itself so you have some bracing. Reach really long through your left fingertips to create more space in your side again. Front leg bends to keep building some strength there. And use your next inhale to come back to warrior two. Lean all the way out and take one hand to a block. Spin your back heel up and take the other hand to a block. Step to the plank. Either substitute with the cat-cow or lower just a little further down this time. Press to the up dog with knees down. And lift your hips to the down dog with an exhale. Slow, even breaths. Imagine you could press your exhales out to your toes and pull your inhales as deeply into your lungs as they will go. All right, rock your shoulders forward toward your wrists. Swing your right leg forward to the blocks. Turn your back heel down to the ground. This time, grab your right block with your right hand, spin it up to its taller edge. See if you can place the block right beneath your right shoulder. Take your left hand to your left hip. Now, initially, rotate your left hip open to the long edge of your mat. From that position there, slowly begin elongating your right leg. Now, right now, I'm actually feeling a lot of stretch in the back of the right leg, so you may wish to stay there. If you want to go further, you can work toward a really straight leg. Now, take your hand to the underside of the body, rotate your chest open to the edge, and then from that position there, reach your left arm straight upwards. It may be uncomfortable to look straight up at the hand, so if that's the case, feel free to look sideways or directly down at the ground. A few more deep breaths. Then to transition, bend your right leg. Take your left hand to the block. Place the other block on the floor just as it was before, parallel to the side of your mat. Step back to the high push-up with knees down, lower. Press to the back bend, knees down. Lift your hips to the down dog stretch from there. All right, rock your shoulders toward your hands. Swing your left leg around and toward the block. Turn your back heel to the floor. Now, the additional height on the block is really, really helpful for this one. So stack it up on its tallest edge. Try to make sure that your shoulder is right above your left wrist. Getting the hip position here can be a little challenging. So take your right hand to your right hip and just roll that hip all the way open to the side. Start straightening your leg. If you get to the point where you're feeling enough stretch in the back of the leg, stay there. Otherwise, straighten it and straighten it and straighten it until it goes completely long. In the triangle, you also want to rotate your chest to the side. So grab the underside of your ribs with your right hand. Use that to roll your chest open to the long edge of your mat. Reach your right arm straight up. Look down, sideways, or upward if that's your preference. If the balance feels shaky at all, even if your neck feels okay, look down. Deep breaths, slow on the exhale and slow on the inhale. Now bend your leg, take your hand down to the block, place the other one down there as well. Once they're supportive, shift your weight to the plank, knees down, lower through the push-up, press to the back bend, knees down, and lift your hips all the way up in the air for the down dog stretch. Shake your head yes a couple times to loosen the back of your neck. And try to straighten your arms as much as you can so that they can support your weight. Now rock your shoulders forward toward your wrists. Lunge your right foot to your thumbs. Initially take your back knee all the way down to the ground. Now grab your blocks, pull them up to their highest edge, and just place them near either side of your front foot. As you do that, place the top of your rear foot on the floor. And then with arms straight, hands resting on the blocks, just let your hips drop down and forward to stretch your hip flexors. Next, lift up through your collarbones in your chest and just keep sinking in your hips. What you're looking for is a targeted stretch right here in your hip flexors, the space where your left leg meets your pelvis. It's important because those muscles get really tight when you have to sit a lot. If being perfectly vertical or close to it is a little much, you can always decrease the stretch by leaning forward. And then this time, plant the blocks down there on the ground. With toes curled under in the back leg, lift your rear knee off of the floor, and then just step back to the down dog. Rock your shoulders forward towards your hands, swing your left leg all the way ahead. Take your back knee initially down to the floor. Grabbing your blocks, prop them up on their highest edge. Now take the top of your foot down to the floor beneath. Work towards straight arms, and then just let your hips drop down as well as forward toward the front of your mat. Keep your arms as straight as possible as you forward lean. If you're able to take a slight back bend and come closer to vertical with your chest, lift up through your heart for a bit. Just like before, if that turns out to be too much stretch and you want to decrease, keep leaning forward quite a lot for now. Take some time to get your torso closer to vertical. And today there's no rush at all. Slow breaths in and slow breaths out. Now lift your hips just a bit. Plant your blocks down there on the mat. With your hands resting on the blocks themselves, step back to that downward facing dog posture. All right, this time around, roll to a plank position and then drop your knees all the way down to the floor. Now, so far, we really strengthened your quadriceps, but it's important to strengthen your glutes as well. So from the cat-cow kriya position, with your knees just a slight bit behind your hips, curl your toes under and back for the balance. And then to strengthen your outer hip, lift your left knee outwards to the side and straight up. Take it back to the floor with an exhale. This one is tough. Your leg might not lift very high. but take it outwards and upwards until you feel some burning in your outer hip, and then drop it back down. Inhale your leg out and up. Exhale down. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale the knee down. Now next, to target the gluteus maximus in the back and keep your hips leveled with the floor. Tuck your ribs down in the front. The next time you inhale, lift your left leg straight up and drop it down. Inhale, take it up. Exhale, drop. 3 more. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale your knee up and exhale it back down. Now place the tops of your feet on the floor. To take some of the weight off your hands, shift your hips toward your heels. Walk your hands forward and just let your head sink down toward the ground. Rock your hips back and forth from that supported child's pose. All right, then next, come up to the 4-pointed kneeling position. Curl your toes under and back, which will sometimes be helpful for the balance. Try to tuck your ribs down. And then to get your outer hip, lift your right leg straight outward and upward. And take it back down. Use your inhales for the lift. Exhales to drop. 3 more. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Ribs down with no back bends. Lift your right leg straight up with an inhale. Exhale. Inhale 4. Exhale, knee down. Inhale 3. Exhale. Inhale 2. Exhale. Inhale your leg high for 1. And then exhale your knee to the ground. Now this time, press straight back to the downward facing dog. Take a look forward, rock your shoulders toward your hands. Step 1 foot forward toward the blocks, then the other foot to the blocks. Make sure your feet are separated by about hip distance. And then from that position there, come up to your fingertips so your spine is really long. Come all the way up to standing by sweeping your arms outwards and then upwards. Join your hands together in a prayer at your chest. All right, now this time take your feet closer together. They don't have to touch, but just take them quite a bit closer together. And then turn your toes ever so slightly out to the sides, just the slightest turn out. That will help to improve your balance in this one. Now for the tree in modified form, place your right foot near your left inner ankle, keep your toes on the floor, and just practice balancing there with your eyes on one single spot. If you want to try to take your foot up to the ankle with no toes on the floor, do that. And just stand completely on your foot. Now, if you want to go higher, you can slide your foot up to any point that you like. If you get to the point where you can draw it all the way to your inner thigh, try that. Otherwise, hang out with me with your toes on the floor and your ankle and heel touching. A few more rounds of breaths. And then drop your foot all the way back down to the floor. Take your other leg up into the exact same position you had before. Start out with your heel near your inner ankle and the toes touching the floor. Tuck your ribs down a little bit and just roots down through your feet like a tree. Sometimes the balance is great. If you want to try taking your foot up a little higher, do so. If you want to experiment and pull the foot higher and higher up till you make it to the inner thigh, that's a great possibility. But today, really, with your toe on the floor, you're still getting a great test of your balance. So choose the one that's going to work best for you. Focus your eyes on something and breathe. And then for now, drop your foot all the way back down to the floor. And when you're ready, come down to a seated position of some type again. Cross legs if possible, or straight legs if that's your preference. Rest your hands in your lap with your right hand on top of left and thumbs touching. And then close your eyes and just be very aware of everything that's happening in your body right now. Sense the areas that feel light and open. Observe your heartbeat if you can feel it. Any particular feelings created by the flow of energy through your body, tingling, or just a general sense of your overall energy. And focus more peripherally. Sense the contact of your body against the floor. Your clothes meeting the skin. Sense even more deeply and feel those currents of air brushing you on their way through the room. Now, for the next few moments, redirect all of your awareness to your breath and pay close attention to your inhaling and close attention to your exhaling. Hold your posture just as it is. If your mind wanders for even a moment, redirect to your breath and just keep observing. And for now, join your hands together in a prayer at your chest. Bring to mind the person you dedicated your practice to. Perhaps consider praying for or maybe wishing for their happiness or health. Or you might also just consider sending some good energy. If you wish, repeat after me. May all sentient beings everywhere experience peace.